Both players are ready. Sean has missed the start game button, but now he's hit it, and we're going into game one.
I almost quit. I was like, all right, we got him in the game. I will leave the game. Let's do this one more time. It is time for game number 1, attempt number 2 between these two top North American players. It is Fnatic MSI's TT1 versus Dignitas Select on Tal Dream Altar. The game has now begun, and interestingly, no longer cross-map spawns.
We have Fnatic TT1 spawning up here in the northeast corner as the blue Protoss, and his opponent down here in the southeast is going to be Dignitas Select as the red Terran. No longer cross map positions. We're going to be on the right side of the map.
Yeah, that's a very, very important thing to note due to the way that the expanding patterns work on this map. Both players now going to be under a lot of pressure for this rightmost expansion. This one is obviously difficult for the Terran to take, just due to the fact that TT1 can place a Stalker on the high ground and shoot at it, but of course Select really wants to take this one as he can defend these bottom 4 bases by controlling this rightmost watchtower. It means Select is going to be forced to take this expansion as a 4th base at some point, which is going to put a ton of pressure on him to defend a wide amount of space. Select's answer is going to have to be big aggression and drop play.
Now, we talked about the fact that we haven't casted a TVP in quite some time here because in the Latin American Invitational, there simply were no Terran versus Protoss as the tournament advanced forward. Really, what is becoming the norm, the standard go-to builds for this matchup that we might see on a map like Tal Dream Altar, Sean?
Well, I think that the one that Fnatic TT1 is going to be doing is one of 2. He's either going to be taking both gases early to stockpile a ton of sentries and then expand, or he's just going to be expanding very quickly and then backing up and getting a whole bunch of sentries. These are the most common ways that the Protoss players are opening, just because the sentries turn those infantry into fodder at the start of the game. You can easily force field slice them in half, remanage those battles appropriately. The Terran strategies, though, are sort of shifting away from the very fast drop styles into very fast upgrade styles and very fast ghost styles. So Select might have one of those timings planned. It does appear that Select is intending on early expanding.
So when he actually finishes this depot, probably going to be seeing that command center going down. Love the fact that he's moving out with this Marine to that natural to deny any probes from coming in, as you can kill it with a little bit of control before it actually gets by the Marine. Cybernetics core going down there in the base of TT1. Second gas not being added on just yet. Are we going to be seeing a 1-gate Cybernetics expand from TT1, or is he going to be dropping down something else in the main, Sean?
I mean, I am very confident that TT1 will be doing the early expand. The only other thing that he could be doing is going for a very fast 4 warp gate, but he didn't save up that chrono boost. We see no chrono boost going down on that warp gate. Meanwhile, in Camp Select, everything's looking nice and hardy and normal. He might do something a little more new school and plant a lot of barracks down, or he might go for the more standard 3. He's still saving up a lot of cash. There's one of the barracks going down, and there's the second.
Probe is trying to get into the Zelnaga tower, but Select is going to deny it, looks like, and actually kill it. 2 Marines do join forces there. Stalker does not want to move out. It's going to stick right at the ramp leading up into the natural of TT1. If we go back into the main base, just now adding on that second gas, switching views over into Select base. He's actually added on 2 more racks. Hasn't added that tech lab or that reactor just yet. 2 gases being put down, of course, in the main base, and might be seeing some more gases here in just a couple of minutes in the natural.
Now Select has some interesting decisions coming up. The way that Terran vs. Protoss was operating several months ago was that this gas would be spent on a fast factory, allowing him to get the medevacs up as quickly as possible. I would not be surprised to see Select do that, as he loves going for those drops. Yet lately we've seen players favor an earlier engineering bay, starting to get the +1 upgrade very, very soon, transitioning into 2-1 upgrades immediately thereafter. It's all going to come down to when we see the add-on plop down for Select, and it's looking like we're going to see a factory first from Select.
Stalker coming up, chasing away that Marine at the Zelnaga, but there is a bunker down, so TT1 will not want to go any further. Instead, he's going to swing around to the would-be 3rd base here with the destructible rocks, just to see if anything crazy is going on. Will not be able to scout too much. Going to poke in here to the natural, see the bunker, and probably return back to that Zelnaga. as he does lose all of his shields. Doesn't take any damage, though, on his actual HP, so those shields will recharge very, very quickly. Back in the main of TT1, he's got 2 more gateways for a total of 3 warp gates. No tech just yet, as 3 sentries currently hold the ramp.
I got to give a huge compliment to TT1 for just never missing a chrono boost. I mean, we always talk about how low Queen energy should be for a Zerg, but I mean, TT1 is keeping his Nexus energy just so freaking low. And there's the giant Swellow sentries. Virtually no gas being spent on anything else but those sentries. Now the Robo going down. And in Camp Select, I mean, one thing to note that TT1 did spot, he spotted a lot of Marines at the front of that base. So that is a sign to them, at the very least, that Select is not going for any sort of tank play.
Love that Select put that Marauder at the front of his army. He does have that concussive shell, so if it was going to be able to connect with that Stalker, it most certainly would have died. But TT1 was not going to have any of that, as he did fall back. If you go look at the Destructible Rocks of TT1 base, he's actually started knocking them down with those sentries, with those Zealots, going and looking for some tech. We still do, actually, we have a Robo-Bay coming down at the natural there, not in the main. Select will not see that with the scan. Back in the home base of Select, he has finished that starport, added it onto that reactor. The factory is being lifted. Probably not going to be using that except for this wall off here. Might be getting some tanks later on, but we'll have to wait and see. A second bunker coming down for Select, as he is somewhat fearful of an attack from TT1.
I'm a little concerned about this transition from TT1. This has been going out of style, but TT1 has refused to give it up. He is going for the very fast Robotics Bay to get the Colossus up. This used to be the crutch of all Protoss defense early on, was getting that one magical Colossus out. However, we've seen players fall back relying more on sentries and zealots for their defense at the start. But how is TT1 going to be able to deal with this as time goes on? Will he have himself pinned in a little too tightly? We see Select's medevacs done now. Select could begin doing a lot of damage, as those sentries and Colossi are not too good at shooting down medevacs.
Stem about 40 seconds from being done, as the pressure is going to be coming into TT1's main. Looks like an elevator strat is going to be what Select wants to do, but Observer has spotted it. The forces are moving into the back of the base. There's also a scouter pylon as well, and here comes Select. Looked like he could just take out this pylon and then move away, as TT1 is not actually going to engage.
This is a great play by Select. He's essentially setting himself up for bigger harass later on. It used to be 2 medevac harass, but now people do 4 medevac harass. They have a pair of medevacs split on the map. Or excuse me, 4 medevacs split into pairs around the map. There we go. I knew something was wrong with that math. And now we have Select killing off any vulnerable spot that he can with this small Marine Marauder troop. But going into the upgrades, we see Select has not even begun his yet. Those upgrades are going to become critical on a map of this size, where you know you're going into that late game.
TT1 still has 3 idle probes on that simulator that was taken out. Might not seem like too much there with that little attack from Select, but when you're going these Colossus and also getting that extended thermal lance, gas is very, very valuable. Actually, a ton of idle probes here at the natural expansion of TT1. Is that a missed rally? What is going on, Sean?
He has 11 workers idle right now at that natural expansion, and there he notices, as we're in the TT1 cam, and we see the drop loading up for Select. He's wandering around destroying all buildings that are on the fringe before he pulls in for a drop, and now we have another huge force walking towards the front. Here's that classic Select aggression.
He might just go back and snipe that assimilator once again, try to throw the army of TT1 for a loop, get it out of position, and then go for the drop to main. And it looks like TT1 might actually fall for this. The army moves out for just a second. Select throws in a scan to see exactly where it's at, and drop has landed back in the main base. Now here comes some Stalkers trying to warp in, some Zealots right behind it. Select does go ahead and stem. Is he going to be able to defend this, or is he just going to lift?
Oh, a little bit of an overstim. It looks like he's trying to pick off those Stalkers, but it didn't quite work. But the drop at the natural expansion now ramping up into some big aggression. There's the 4 medevac harass, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, but did Select overstim. It looks like he lost a lot of units in that top right. Fnatic TT1 holding on just fine. And see, here's the third base from Select. It's in a little bit of a vulnerable position there. This is what we talked about at the start of the game. But Select is doing a great job catching up with his barracks count. And we do see a Ghost Academy now planted. A lot of tech done for Select, but in overall army size, we see the TT1 does lead.
There was an observer that was oddly placed there on the corner on the far right side of the map, but it does actually become very valuable if TT1 now has, not killing that medevac, but Select will fall back. Another drop here at the third. The Nexus has finished. No probes currently mining, but is he going to be able to finish this Nexus with these two Marauders and the Marines? They stem. Once again, the forces of TT1 are going to get there. Nexus has 500 HP. Is he going to flip, or is he going to actually get it, Sean? Here we go.
This is going to be really close. It's a... Oh, my God. TT1 tried to kill off the medevacs. He thought his Colossi would be able to clean it up, and it was the thinnest of misreads, and now we see Select 2 barracks with reactor, helping him save up gas for those ghosts. The Mobius reactor about to finish, the 3 medevac hit squad moving up to the northern position, and TT1 that's been doing amazing defense again and again and again, suddenly with a big mistake losing that natural. But man, if you go back to this army size, we still see the TT1 leads by a large margin. Holy freaking units, JP, and they're 1-1.
Now, one of the other things that those drops were doing was delaying TT1 from actually getting a big army, and also it bought time for those Vikings to get out and for those Ghosts to get out for Select. But this attack is looking pretty gruesome as TT1 does get a scam, but at the same time, Select is going to move into the natural. Colossus does pop out, and he will definitely lose that Colossus.
The Colossus is going to fall down, but is the front going to be okay for Select? There are 4 Colossus at the front. A tremendous amount of Stalkers. 19 Stalkers, 11 Zealots, and the double EMP annihilates the shield. We see an amazing series of force fields. Select did not manage to get the sentries. He got all the ground units in the main. We see the drop is continuing. The medevacs are nowhere in sight. There they are at the natural expansion. It looks like TT1 will be losing all of his income for the time being. But does Select have enough for this defense? Select is hanging on by a thread. If he can stay a little bit longer alive, he will be okay.
Select is dropping everywhere at the same time. TT1 is not sure if he wants to move in, but all of his units were clumped right there. Some great EMPs coming down. The Vikings are going to work on that Colossus. 2 do remain, but that is just a huge army from Select. Marauders do so much damage to those Stalkers. 1 Colossus remaining, and there it goes ahead and dies. Select is just looking so strong.
And there's a good game, an incredible defense by Select, doing the drops all over the place, and then allowing himself just enough units to defend. Select not celebrating yet. He knows that he needs to win on his next game, which is going to be on Backwater Gulch.
We were actually talking about Backwater Gulch yesterday after the tournament was over, and we got to be honest, we haven't casted too many games on that map prior to this event, but man, does it actually make for some incredible games regardless of the matchup. So we're going to go ahead and get that hosted, waiting on both players to get in.
I mean, that was very, very nice play by Select. The opening standard, getting out the very fast medevacs, pushing forward with a small amount of Marine Marauder, getting his stim and combat shield in the usual order. But it's the way he followed it up, immediately getting a 3rd command center, immediately getting the upgrades, the Ghost Academy, and 3 more barracks, and getting all the appropriate add-ons for those. Having the harass timed out just right. It's that mid to late game that we said is the big key on Tal'Darim Altar, and Select showing us a clinic in that game.
Both players are saying they're ready. Sean going to say good luck, have fun. And here we go. Going to game 2. Is TT1